Warm welcome to the first webinar of InteractionSeeds in cooperation with Voice Project. So welcome on board, everybody. 10 a.m. in the morning. I hope you had a good cup of coffee and a nice breakfast today. So I let you welcome with a short introduction what we want to do today. So it's a travel guide, a little journey between through all the creative aspects what we reached so far in both projects. We start with a little introduction of myself. So I'm the moderator of your journey today. I've guided you through all the tasks what we want to share with you. Then we have at 10:05, 10:15 Museum for All. It's a presentation of Yassamin Kouraichi from Dowel Innovation. Then we have a presentation from Itziar Vidorreta from Cluster GAIA. It's related to smart and AI development regarding the health, taking care of health. Then we have the presentation of the Voice Project. That's our sister project. We do it in cooperation with them today. It's based it's presented by Martina Radanović. And then we have a lovely and very interesting presentation of a famous artist named Dumitriu from UK. She's from Brighton, and she has very interesting insights in bio art. Then we have a very short 10-minute Q&A session, so you have the chance to ask questions to all our speakers and all the insights what you get so far. And then we have an interactive session that is very important for us to invite you to give feedback, to know about more your needs, about your experience in this field. And then we have at 11:25 to 11:30 around this, we have a concluding remarks moderated by me. Let's first of all present the speakers for today. We have four lovely women who are joining the webinar and share some insights with you. That's Yassamin Kouraichi from Dowel Innovation in France. Dowel is also partner of the InteractionSeeds project. They lead the project as a coordinator. And Yassamin is academic junior consultant in Dowel. She studied mathematical methods in finance in Paris, and that's also a master degree in international energy management. Then we have Itziar Vidorreta from lovely Bilbao in Spain. She's working for the GAIA cluster as a project manager, and she studied in the Deusto University in Bilbao environmental engineering. And then we have Marta Radanović. She's from Croatia, worked for RISE Research Innovation Services, and she's responsible for communication dissemination in the Voice Project. And then we have Anna Dumitriu from Great Britain, UK. She's based in Brighton. Anna is a famous and internationally renowned artist. She worked for multiple research centers in UK, and also have a very nice experience with big exhibitions in Ars Electronica, in MIT Museum, in the Eden Project, Picasso Museum, and she will represent the cooperation with the Voice Project, and it's a very, very interesting activity what she did so far. And that's me on the right corner. I'm Patrick. I'm from Greenovate Europe, Belgium. I'm here today with my lovely colleague Natalie, and we are also responsible for the communication dissemination in the InteractionSeeds project. Let me share with you some details about the InteractionSeeds project, why we do this first webinar of 3 in a series of 3. In general, the project is headlined by Where Science Meets Art, and our vision is to become a catalyst for transformative change by fostering impact interactions between science and technology, the cultural and creative industries, and society in key areas. What we try to face is different challenges, societal challenges like health, digitization, climate and action, and democratic change. Our mission, though, that means what we are doing in our project. So we start the project 1.5 year, nearly 1.5 year ago, beginning of 2024. It's a 2-year project in general. And what we do is to build bridges between arts, science, and innovation and society. And especially through artistic engagement, we demonstrate how diverse disciplines can collaborate, tackle societal challenges, while adapting to diverse contexts and providing replicability approaches to public engagement. And especially the replicability, sorry for this, I ever struggle with this word, I don't know why, um, is a very important part. So this is also what we want to know from you today is what do you think about, is it possible, is it easy to replicable the insights, what you get so far today, and also what we share with you about the stories and the interactions, what we implement so far. So this is very important for us, get your knowledge, get your comments about the replication opportunities and what do you think about it's easy or not. These are the four main pillars of the Interaction Seeds project. So we have a huge interaction online repository. So that means we have 50 inspiring examples and success stories how collaboration can work and can have an impact in different challenges. And then we have the capacity building like we do today, like we want to share the knowledge with a broader audience. We make it public what we reach, what are the insights, what are the learnings, especially for R&I stakeholders and every other people who are interested in involved in these kind of activities that we mentioned before. So like adaptation and replication in 5 regions. So in our project ourselves, we have 20 arts and science interactions. That means we have 20 projects what we implement in different ways. 2 of them we will represent today with Itziar and Yassamin, and you will find many more on the website. And then we have collaboration and practices and build a big network like the collaboration with the Voice Project, for example. The objectives for the webinar, first, present good practices on art, science, interactions, and health, share inspiring ideas and success stories, identify barriers and solutions to boost public engagement, and discuss valorization and results with a broader audience. As I mentioned, the travel is not only our travel today, so it's also up to you, and you can be part of a successful and lovely and joyful travel in the next few 1.5 hours. And for this, use the Mentimeter, use the chat, ask questions as much as possible, because this is also a learning process for us, from your experience, and implement them maybe in the following weeks and months in the project developments. Let's start with the first part. So the first 2 success stories from the Interaction Seeds project. And before I jump into and give the floor to Yassamin, I will ask her a question about the experience of the project of Museums for All. I know it starts not so far away because it was last week, the first day of the initiative. And for me, it's quite interesting. What was the most surprising moment for you when you start the project last week?
Thanks, Patrick, for the lovely introduction. And as you said, yeah, the first phase took place like a few days ago on Friday. What surprised me the most is that many students learned a lot of things about themselves. Maybe that they have a neurodevelopmental disorder, or maybe that they had it when they were younger and they were diagnosed very quickly. So the parents took action very quickly and they overcame the difficulties. And I was also surprised by the fact that the students were very interested in the scientific conference and the VR simulation and the workshops with the special education counselors. So I see a lot of interest from all parties, from the students, from their teachers, from the scientists in our project, and also from the school and everyone. And it's very it's very interesting to see this. Yeah, I hope we will accomplish something great through this project at the end, and maybe one day we will be able to change some some rules about museum visits and be able to have an inclusive space for everyone. Yeah.
Great. So I will leave the floor to you right now.
Okay.
So please go ahead with your presentation, and then after your presentation, the audience have time for some questions so far. And yeah, Yassamin, please go ahead.
Okay. So I will share my screen, Patrick, and you tell me if it's okay. Uh, is that okay?
So far, I just see a black screen. Oh, no. Perfect. Yeah, we can
Okay.
see your screen.
Okay, so hello everyone. So I'm Yassamin from Dowel. Patrick has already introduced me, and we are leading the Museums for All seed. So first of all, I want to start by putting you in a situation. So imagine there is a child at the entrance of a museum, and there is a lot of noise, a lot of colors, a lot of people, a lot of movement, and this child feels overwhelmed and anxious. So this is what children who have neuro developmental disorders feel like during museum visits, which are supposed to be educational and fun. But instead of feeling that it's a welcoming space, they feel more like it's a barrier. So this is the challenge we want to tackle through Museums for All, which is a project that rethinks the cultural spaces through a lens of inclusivity, innovation, and design. Why does it matter? Because science showed that research showed that 1 in every 6 people has a neurodevelopmental disorder, and only 8% get diagnosed. So that's why it's very important. So these children face a lot of barriers during museum visits because they have a sensory overload, and hence there are a lot of difficulties to follow a traditional learning format. And of course, we want to address this challenge because in most museums, there are exceptions, of course, but most museums have one size fits for all approach, and unintentionally they exclude children who are neurodivergent. Yet, museums have the power to spark creativity and learning for everyone, so we have to rethink their design. So here I just put an extract of a video of of a situation faced by a dyslexic child at school. I don't know if you will be able to listen to the sound, but I changed something in the parameters. So is it okay, Patrick? Can you hear something?
No, I can't hear and see anything.
Okay, I will send the link in the chat
Yeah,
afterwards, but
maybe
what's
easier.
important is that I can explain. So this is a child at school. This is a 360 video, by the way, and this is the one we used for our VR simulation last week. So as you see, the teacher is asking them to read. Here, the letters are normal.
We can't see the video, Yassamin.
Oh, really?
Maybe you have to change the screen.
Ah, sorry.
Doesn't matter.
Okay, I will change it. And now, Patrick, can you see YouTube?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so as I said, this is a child at school. And yeah, the teacher is asking them to read. And once the teacher asked him to read, the letters started changing their changes in the book. So this is what a dyslexic child feels like. Yeah, so this is just, I wanted to show you a little experience. Yeah, so I continue with my presentation. So how can we find actionable approaches? So we thought about science. So in our initiative, Museums for All, our partner Orchidia is an example of innovation in the field because they're a digital clinic to pre-diagnose neurodevelopmental disorders. They use like innovative technologies and protocols that are based on gamification to pre-diagnose children who have these disorders early on. So how does science address inclusivity? Because science offers us a deep insight into sensory, emotional, and cognitive needs of the neurodivergent person. So if it is combined with neuro-inclusive design, like we're doing in Museums for All initiative, it can inspire inclusive spaces that are both functional and empathetic. But there is a challenge here. Scientific knowledge on these disorders is growing, but making it accessible and actionable to non-specialists is still complex. So through this initiative, we are trying to bridge the societal challenge with the scientific challenge by putting art at the heart of this initiative. So Museums for All is a multi-phase interdisciplinary initiative bridging science, design, and arts and cultural approaches. We aim to create synergies between diverse stakeholders. So in this project, we have like museums, people that work at museums. We have schools of design. We have artists. We have scientists. We will have policymakers. In order to gather them, to exchange ideas, share perspective, and co-develop together inclusive solutions. Why are we doing this? Because we want to put participants in the shoes of a neurodivergent child. We want them to feel what the children really feel like in certain situations. We want also to explore diverse scenographies towards inclusivity, and we want to engage in different interactions with a broad audience on this complex topic. So the approach that we are using for this initiative, like first of all, we are many partners. Of course, we are Dowel who are facilitating the initiative. There's Villa Arson, which is an art school and also a museum. So that's where we're having our final event. There is École de Condé, which is the design school here in Nice. Orchidia, which are the scientists I have talked about who are designing protocols for pre-diagnosis. POP06, which are the special education counselors that help children who have disorders to deal with different situations and overcome the difficulties they face during their life. We have Smile and Learn, who have nicely and offered the video for free with no licensing fees that we used in our VR simulation. And also Nature Dive, who offered the equipment to use during the VR simulation. So the initiative takes place over 3 main phases. So the first phase took place last week. We trained 48 space design students through VR simulation, expert lab sessions, and discussions with special education counselors. The second phase, which is our design sprint. So it's going to take place over 2.5 months. So the students that we have trained, they will be able to develop these inclusive museum solutions, but under the guidance of experts, and also experts from Orchidia, who are the scientists, and also from POP06, which are the special guidance counselors, and also, of course, their teachers at school, who were there during the training. Some of the teachers were also there to be trained. The third phase, which is we will showcase the impact. It's the public event that will take place on the 20th of June at Villa Arson, the museum, and it will feature a scientific conference that will be facilitated this time by an artist to make all the complex scientific concepts accessible to the large public. We will have an interactive student exhibition and the VR experience all elements are designed to challenge the perception about accessibility. So yeah, the first objective here, I put some pictures from last week, what we did last week. So First objective is, of course, to raise awareness about the lived experiences and challenges faced by the neurodivergent individuals. So the students were able to develop an emotional connection to neurodiversity through the VR, which is considered an artistic medium offering a first-person sensory perspective. And it was complemented by the workshops that were done by Pop 06, where the students got to do some sensory activities to just put themselves in the shoe of a person who suffers from dyspraxia or dyslexia and so on. So yeah. The second objective is to inspire more inclusive designs practices. Here I put some examples that were kindly offered by Okidia, who presented them last week. So here we see the Dublin City University, which is considered the first autism-friendly university worldwide. So it's the pictures on the left. They have managed to create quiet spaces to manage sensory overload for autistic students on campus, which is very interesting. So what I wanted to say is that this design challenge was inspired by the Royal College of London of Arts. We will invite our 48 students that we have trained in the first phase to work on their projects over 5 weeks. So they will blend creativity, science, societal engagement, all the what they learned during the first training session, and their solutions will be exhibited within an exposition curated at Villa Arsan. This exposition is called Becoming Ocean. It's about the theme of ocean, and it will be prepared by the students of Villa Arsan. So we will combine two expositions, the solutions from the students at École de Condé, the space design students, with the art students from Villa Arsan. So I think it will be very interesting. And we will see this on the 20th of June. So hopefully I will take many pictures so that we can communicate them through our website and social media. So yeah, when it comes to some considerations and some recommendations when it comes to inclusive spaces, experts have led research and surveys towards neurodivergent individuals, and they asked them, what should we take into considerations when it comes to space? So they said that sound and light are most important aspects. Designs inspired by nature are widely appreciated. And of course, the preferences vary according to the different profiles, sensory profiles. So what we have recommended to students is that they should keep the design neutral spaces with modular stimulation options. And of course, we encourage them to create a variety and flexibility and user control. Yeah, so these are some pictures from what it looks like, some examples. Yeah, the third objective is, of course, to help parents and introduce them to new pre-diagnosis protocols and technologies based on gamification if they wish to pre-diagnose their child. So here I just put some pictures of the approaches that Okidia uses. So they base their approach on gamification, biometrics, and also science. So here there's a picture of their methodology, how they carry their research. So yeah, we will have, of course, an art facilitated scientific talk on the 20th of June. Okidia will present their conference in a creative way, guided by an artist making complex ideas accessible and engaging. And of course, I put an example, but this is not from Museums for All. It's just an example I found that inspired me, which is the art, what the artist Edgar Medina did. He painted during a scientific conference to convey information through painting and making the content accessible to the public. So I found this interesting. It inspired me for this initiative. Yeah, so as I said, this project is not about highlighting inclusive access to museums. It's about shifting perspectives. So that's what we wish to do after the end of this initiative. And the impacts we're aiming, as I said, is to raise awareness support the families, to involve them in testing and pre-diagnose their children very early, because it is very important. During the first phase of the project, I met a girl who was diagnosed very late, and she told me that she suffered from trauma because of her dyslexia, because everyone thought that she was not good enough at school, while in fact she just had dyslexia and had to be diagnosed and had like to be helped by a counselor in order to overcome these difficulties and have and avoid the trauma, as I said. Yeah, the next the next impact is, of course, to train the next generation of space designers, and of course encourage a museum to rethink the spaces and make them more accessible and welcoming and enriching for neurodivergent children. What's next for us? So we aim and we foresee to develop a local task force composed of museums, space designers, and users to deepen the work on museum inclusivity. This was proposed by our partner Villa Arson, because they are taking part of two main art and cultural institution networks, and they want actually, after this initiative, to create this task force. So yeah, this is great news, because they want to discuss more in depth this topic. The second thing is that we want to engage a cohort for Orchidea to deepen their research, and of course to enhance the development of it, to help them enhance the development of their tools and the assessment of the neurodevelopmental disorders. And finally, our presentation of Museums for All initiative was accepted at a conference. It's the 18th International Conference on the Inclusive Museums that will take place between the 15th and 17th of September in Spain, in Zaragoza. So yeah, we're very happy about it. And that's it on my side. Thank you. If you have any questions, you can ask me or send me an email.
Thanks a lot, Yassamin. Very interesting, especially in the early stage of the implementation. I think it was a very good insight. Regarding the time we spent so far, so we are running a bit out of time. So we move maybe the question and answer to the Q&A session, and I will hand over the floor to Itziar from lovely Bilbao in Spain. So we travel now from Nice to Bilbao, our next stop in our lovely journey. And Itziar, please, just one question before you start. What was the most surprising feedback what you get from a participant during your experience of interaction and implementation of the project or the initiatives?
Okay. Regarding this particular case, and in GERNIKARTEZ, of course, it was the exchange between the artist and the researchers. So, and also that we had like different interactions between this seed, but all of them almost the impact, let's say, or the results were the same, no? That the conclusions of involving the artist since the beginning, implementing the living lab methodology with them, the importance of the user experience since the beginning. So this is what we are trying to still develop in the new seeds. And it's what I will try to explain you today with this particular seed called GERNIKARTEZ.
Okay, then feel free to start with your presentation. We are very excited.
Thank you, Patrick. Can you see my screen?
Yes, but you have to switch to full screen if it's possible. So it's
Yes.
just in the presentation, and you have to put it in. Yes, perfect.
Okay, great. So good morning all. Good morning all the attendees. Thank you for the organization. And okay, I am Itziar Vidorreta. As Patrick already introduced me, I am working at GAIA. GAIA is the ICT cluster in the Basque Country in the north of Spain. We are a cluster of knowledge and technologies, and we have the mandate also from the Basque government to deploy the Basque District of Culture and Creativity. So we are running different projects of hybridization, cross-fertilization between culture and creative industries and technologies and research. So one of them is InteractionSeeds, coordinated by Dowel Innovation. So thank you for inviting us today to the webinar as well. And one of the seeds that we have implemented is called GERNIKARTEZ. It's about the smart spaces for reduced stress and well-being, and mainly for the promotion of well-being through performing arts. So how we started with this seed? We started in 2023 in Guernica, a small town in the north of Spain, quite close to Bilbao. And we asked to ourselves, can culture reduce stress and enhance well-being? So we start working with the citizens in the village, mainly with the silver economy, let's say, and we start working with them in the creation of different podcasts to see if really the culture can help them in their well-being. So we wanted to measure its impact, to explore and demonstrate how creativity can be a powerful for all in the social health. So we made a series of podcasts together with the citizens, with the people from Guernica. The seed is based on the co-creation with the stakeholders of a literature, music, and cinema podcast. And we started in 2023, but then we continue in 2024 also with a big workshop, also not just including this podcast, but also other technologies like artificial intelligence or virtual intelligence, to see if really it has some impact in our well-being. Okay, I don't know why I cannot. Now, can you see my screen? Yes, no?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's moving.
Okay, so our method, it's based in 4 main pillars. So we designed it an approach rooted in the Living Lab methodology and enriched with the art design thinking. Together with citizens, artists, technologists, and local actors, we created a set of cultural podcasts and audiovisual content. And we embraced an hybrid method of action, research, collective creativity, and inclusive innovation. Always putting the emotional and the social value of culture in the center. So our 4 pillars are Living Lab, the central value of the emotional and social potential of culture, the collaboration of the quintuple helix, and the creation of the content of the podcast and the workshop itself. So here you have some pictures of the different activities that we have been implementing. And the turning point was really the co-creative workshop that we implemented last year in May in Donostia San Sebastian in Tabacalera. The workshop brought together researchers, creators, and citizens around the theme of technology, art, and well-being. through interactive presentations, reflections, also some activities between us, and we explore how human-centered technologies are working with artists, how we are using virtual reality with some artists related to a sculpture, but mainly focusing on the well-being. It really dance for stress relief and social inclusion. Also, the how the electronic music can help us or can can enhance us in our daily well-being. And finally, we work with a designer also who is focusing on their designs, having the well-being as the main axis of their work. So going more in deep to each of them, the first one was related to technologies for people and how R&D through collaborations with artists. So we have a researcher from Techniker, and we have an artist as well, and they presented their joint work together. The project highlighted how artistic perspective can enhance human interface, interactions, prioritizing user experience and human factors. So the artistic activities were focused on visualizing data creatively, developing novel interaction methods, and creating immersive installations that explore the boundaries between the perceptions and digital interfaces. And the main impact was that these initiatives are not just functional, but also emotionally engaging with the citizens. No, so it was an exposition that was in Tabacalera for more than 3 months, and we measured also all the impacts with the visitors. The second one was the virtualization and art, exploring new creative processes. So here we have a 3Dima, which is an architecture studio, and Maximilian Pelsman, who is an artist from the sculpture domain. And they are working together in using virtual reality and augmented reality. So virtual reality, how immersive the visitor in any place, visit past or future scenarios and times, real or imaginary scenarios with the ability to modify and interact with them. So they work together, and so in this case, Maximilian is able to see how the citizens, people, can feel when they are visiting their sculptures, no? The sculptures that he is designing are super big sculptures in which people can get inside and can feel what he is designing, no? So thanks to the virtual reality and augmented reality, he can work on that in the design phase of the sculpture. So here are some of the examples of the different works that they are implementing together. Then we also have that contemporary dance startup. So they presented the success stories in the dissemination of contemporary dance among different groups like children and elderly, to reduce the stress, improve the body awareness, and increase also their well-being. So they are implementing these activities. with different people. The fourth one was we call it the taste of electronic music, and how in this case we developed in collaboration between the Public University of the Basque Country and Dance, which is an electronic music company, explore the sociological and emotional impact of the electronic music. So what they made were live performances, interactive workshops, and community-based events, blending artistic creativity with academic research. And the impact is a study that is analyzing how electronic music shapes emotional states, social belonging, and personal identity. So this study is also public. I can send you the information later on if you are interested. And the final one was the impact of design on well-being. It was presented by a design studio called the Tiara Design. In this case, we emphasize the role of strategic design in enhancing human experiences and well-being. And they presented different cases, different activities that they are implementing with other design studios. So the conclusion of the workshops and of these 5 mini interactions, let's say, or mini seeds inside our super seed. So we're first the need of facilitators. So there is a lack of professionals who can effectively connect industry, art, and technology and give a continuation to these interactions. The analysis of best practices, so studying benchmarks such as Sonar, Ars Electronica, Creative Economic Conference, or other international conferences that can help us or inspire us to develop new interactions, and the collaborative ecosystem and strengthen the connections between the cultural and technological institutions. And what did we achieve? So we achieved new perspectives, the vision on how art and technology can serve to the society. We develop a skill, the co-creation, emotional expression, and technological literacy. Also the sense of belonging, engaging with the participants, with the citizens of our region. This is something that InteractionSeeds which InteractionSeeds has a big impact in the sense of belonging to our region, to our citizens, having them in the centers, in all the seats implemented, and of course the recognition that we have of the community engagement project. And the lessons learned or replication potential. So first, and the most important one, the inclusion of artists since the beginning of all the interaction, not just as a tool, but as the central point, together with the citizens. The dual design, combining the aesthetical and the functional objectives in each creation. The participatory evaluation of measurable indicators of well-being with participants, using some devices to really see how these interactions were affecting them, and the international connections, to share the best practices and inspire local ecosystem. And finally, the impact. So again, the intersectorial collaboration, of course, this is the most important one also for our InteractionSeeds project. The vast cultural ecosystem, because it serves as a platform to showcase best practices, increase the visibility of the work that we are implementing, and the strengthening of the CCSI industries. And that's all from my side. So if you have any question, I will be here all the morning, but of course you have my contact email there, so you can always write an email. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's a lot of work and a lot of examples how diverse interactions and initiatives can be with different focuses regarding the challenges of health, societal challenges of health problems. And now we move over to our lovely sister project, to the Voice project, to Martina. We answer the questions later for sure. We have a Q&A session later, and so we have to hurry up a little bit. Doesn't matter, but it's more important to share important insights from the speakers. So Martina is, as I mentioned, related for the communication dissemination of the Voice project. And my question to you, Martina, is what was your first thought when you heard about the project the first time? So because we have a lot of challenges of diversity in the project, and what was your first thought when you jump into the project on your role?
To be honest, I think from the communication perspective, it's always really maybe hard to kind of convey all of the messages that you want to convey within the project. And this is a really interesting one, but a really important one as well. And I think our role is really to showcase the beautifulness of having artistic leadership in all of these projects. And I think this is something that is sometimes a bit challenging to do. But now I see that through results that we have from our projects, this is definitely the main voice that we will share within our project and projects as well. So yeah, I would say this is my main focus.
Great. So the floor is yours. So please go ahead with your presentation about the Voice activities.
Okay, so hi everyone. Thank you all for joining us today and taking the time to listen a bit more about, as I mentioned, artistic leadership. I'm Martina Radanović, and I'm a part of a company called RISE, fully known as Research and Innovation Services. We are based in Croatia, and we are working not just with communication and dissemination, but a lot of other innovations as well, and funding possibilities. I will also share some links in the website, in the chat with the websites and so on, so feel free to reach out. Within Voice, what we are trying to do is, of course, encourage citizen engagement with using this artistic-led innovation, which we'll also hear about a bit later from Anna. This is a project that's funded by Horizon Europe, which I also recommend as some of the funding possibilities that you can also do for your projects. We are now in the middle of our project, and on the right side, you can see that we are a small team, but a very diverse team, I would say, with our expertise from SMEs and universities. So feel free to also check out our partners as well. What we're trying to do in the end is to really showcase this new approach where artists are in the spotlight or having the head in the project, and working with their communities to trying to solve some environmental problems within their area, which can really differ. It could be a small area, a bigger area. And we're a bit more niche, I would say, from InteractionSeeds. So we are really focusing on green and digital solutions. And what we hope to, in the end, to see that we are created a system where everyone's ideas are heard and knowledge is shared and big changes are made, which is definitely a focus, I would say, for a sustainable future, which are all, I would say, focused on. And hopefully this also inspires individuals and communities and also industries to join us in this, I would say, a bit of a battle for sustainable future, and using basically artistic-led innovation within this. We are also focused on SDGs, or Sustainable Development Goals. These are the ones that we are focused on, and as you can see, we are focused on SDG 11 to make citizen human settlements inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. You will also hear some of the examples later from Anna for SDG 12 for responsible consumption and production. As I mentioned, we are focused on green and digital solutions, which of course corresponds with climate action SDG. And of course, community is a really big part of our project, so nothing goes without partnership. We are focused as well on trying to see what's currently happening in the landscape of EU and different artistic projects, which we're also trying to map, and you will see some outputs there as well to add on. Feel free to as well check out our website and our social media, because we will also have a bit of a capacity building as well within different trainings in person and online, which you can also be a part of. And in InteractionSeeds, you have seeds. With voice, you have ATSIs, which are artistic, technology, and society interactions. And all of them are combined from communities, technology, and methods, which also differ and which we also want to communicate a bit more. And we will have 20 of them in the end. We have them in 2 phases. One is the pilot phase, which we had 6 pilots, and now soon, very soon, we are starting with the 14 artists in a full live phase. In the pilot phase, we had this lovely 6 artists with us, and Anna is here today to present her results. And before Anna starts, I would also ask you to show us some love on social media as well. And of course, to follow us on different training opportunities and to see what the outputs are. And yeah, that's all from me. I will send some links in the chat as well.
Thanks a lot, Martina. And we lift off in Croatia and fly now to lovely Brighton in the UK and meet Anna. And Anna has a special role today because she's the only artist, to be honest, in this group of speakers. And that's very interesting for me, and also to know from you, Anna, what was your first thought when you jump into the project? Oh, no, let me ask another question. So why is it so important to be working collaborative between science, between artists, between industry? So especially from your perspective as an artist, because you're very involved in different scientific developments.
I mean, for me, it's the inspiration. I think artists will always take some sort of subject matter, whether it's landscapes or portraits, or in my case, biomedical science and AI and technology. And I think the reason is these issues are so, and these areas are so important to us as a society. Antibiotic resistance, for example, climate change, dangers of AI in various ways and things like that. People are interested in them, and we need to kind of interrogate them, and I try and do that through art, which is a way that can also reach people emotionally as well as through kind of the scientific data. So that's, I think, the importance of artists and in that interaction.
Sounds really interesting, and I think it's very important that these kind of different disciplines working together nowadays, because we have so many diversity of challenges right now, and there is also on the other side we need diversity in faces these challenges and engage people. I was very impressed when I saw your Vita online, and also what you do with art and biomedical, for example. And I'm very excited what you're presenting today with the title of your presentation is Greening the Lab. So feel free, it's your floor right now, and start your presentation. Thanks for joining.
Thank you. So that's not the right screen.
That's a mobile, maybe. Now, yeah.
Yeah.
Jump into the full screen mode, maybe,
Yeah,
then
I'm doing
easier. Now we can see it. Perfect.
Okay, so yes, greening the lab. So that's my voice project that I'm going to talk about here. And so Martina's done a lovely introduction to voice, so I'll gloss over some of those bits. The reason, so I received a kind of a call to apply for this, to work with communities focusing on those UN Special Development Goals. And I kind of took a sort of a kind of different direction on it, thinking community I work with a lot, and I think because I'm so embedded in the field, I think of it as a community, was the microbiology community, and the issue of lab sustainability. We use loads of single-use plastics and things in the lab. We use loads of agar jelly, which is it's a blue carbon thing. It captures CO2, but we take it out of the seaweed and we use it in the lab. We use it in millions of petri dishes of agar jelly to grow bacteria every day. So the main issue is it's infected. I have a background in working with infectious materials in my art. I'm a bioartist working a lot with infectious diseases. I've worked with things like even Yersinia pestis, which causes plague, hands-on in the lab. A long time ago, I did this project, which is called the MRSA quilt, or MRSA, as they call it in America, which is a superbug. And I managed to embed textiles into agar, grow bacteria on them, and pattern them with the tools and techniques that you use in the diagnosis of the disease, and then sterilized it and used it in a quilt. So I was thinking, well, we can sterilize this stuff, so why can't we use it? And I thought I'd just show you a couple of other projects I've done that are linked to climate change. This is called ArchaeaBot, a post-singularity, post-climate change life form, and it's an underwater robot with a neural network on a computer inside that can sense its environment. And it's talking about potential future for the Earth, where extremophile archaea, which are similar to bacteria but older, are loving a post-climate change Earth. They love acid rain, they love hot temperatures and things like that. And thinking about, you know, a kind of twisted world where we might actually have to upload our consciousnesses to kind of live on in robots and things like that. So it's an idea that it sort of shocks you into reflection. Another work that I've done is called Fermenting Futures with Alex May and with Boku University. The first one, by the way, was with Imperial College in London. This one's with Boku, the University of Life Sciences in Vienna. And it contains, it's about a yeast that we collaborated to make that can capture CO2 from the environment and output lactic acid, which can be polymerized to make polylactic acid, which you might know as PLA, or 3D printing filament plastic. So it's basically a plastic made from CO2. So this is another work, and it's based on the idea of a fermenter with photogrammetry and things like that in it. I can't go into too much detail because it's quite a short talk. This is a chandelier that I made under the framework of the EU Better Factory project. And I quite enjoy these projects, these EU projects, because they take you into worlds that you would never necessarily go into as well. And this was a collaboration with a winery and a technology company who made smart corks for wine. And then my artistic intervention was to work with the winery and make an installation that reused wine waste. So I created a number of biomaterials recipes using agricultural waste. And we also had an augmented reality app that talked about the circular economy, and a digital soundtrack that was generated from the data from the smart cork. And so this was quite a big influence in the work that I did with the Voice project. So Martina's already talked about this, about how it brings together artists to work with communities. So the Greening the Lab project responded to an urgent need from the biomedical research community to create novel solutions to put forward the decarbonisation of biomedical science and healthcare. So this is a big stat for you. Health is significantly affected by climate change, but it's also a large contributor, and it's responsible for 5% of global greenhouse gas emissions. And there are 240,000 tons of medical waste produced each year, and 96% comes from hospital settings. And then it quite often goes for incineration for energy, because you can't necessarily put it out there. It could be infectious. So I'd already been kind of approached by some of the scientists that I work with before I got the call for the Voice project, to do stuff about sustainability with them. So when I saw the call, I was like, well, do you want to work on this with me? We can work with your communities and with your patient communities as well. They have patient and public engagement communities. And so that's what we ended up doing. And we looked at things like repurposing single-use plastics that are sent to landfill. But we went a bit further than that. And I'm also making artworks, because that's what I do. I always make artworks from these things, and quite often the projects go on and on. So they're my 3 communities: Brighton and Sussex Medical School and University Hospitals Sussex Foundation Trust, Leeds University Healthcare Associated Infection Research Group, and Modernising Medical Microbiology at Oxford. And I use participatory methods, hands-on, I find it facilitates discussion in a non-hierarchical way. Like, you can ask questions and you can discuss even silly things whilst you're making. It's very different to going to a science festival and sitting at the back of the room and going, excuse me, I just didn't understand that bit, or something. You can talk about it when you chat. You can just be really friendly. And yeah, we let our minds wander. We talked about all the issues, and we focused on things like the materiality of biomedical waste and the aesthetic sensation it creates in us, from disgust at a used Petri dish. And as I mentioned, bacteria can have quite a powerful stench, to the beautiful colours of bacteria and the scientific issues around the contamination of medical waste. So I ran 6 participatory workshops in Leeds, Oxford and Brighton, and we worked together hands-on. We explored things like, can agar that has been used to grow bacteria in the lab, and I'm talking pathogenic superbug bacteria here as well, be used in the production of biocomposites? Can wool that's used to protect glassware, that they get sent in vast quantities, be used to make felted objects or clothing? And can things like metal laryngoscopes, that are the things that they put in your throat when you're having an operation, to press your tongue down, be made sterile using alternative methods? Because at the moment we have a situation where, for instance, the NHS has been importing laryngoscopes from a place in Pakistan called Sialkot, which is where most of the surgical instruments are made, and they've been treated as single use. So and then disposed of because of fears around things like prion disease. So they're looking at how can you reuse them, and so I've been collaborating with the scientists doing that. And so these are some of the workshops. We've got some, this is using some of the lab waste. So they have these huge things like these gas things they get sent to, you have to be sent to, but they're only last 18 months and then they have to be disposed of. So there's all sorts of stuff, like vast things that you could reuse. Different bits of single-use plastic. We also combined it with some felt here. I used some art materials as well, because the thing with sustainability that I learned through Better Factory and looking at the fashion industry, which was a case study I looked at, was you don't have to reuse, like, it doesn't all have to be made from the stuff you're recycling. You can add other things to it. So this is a sculpture made in one of the workshops, and you can see some of the scientists that I collaborated with here, Yemi and Mood, working on different things. And Mood is the Professor of Sustainability at the Brighton and Sussex Medical School and the expert on the laryngoscopes and stuff, and Yemi is working on those as well. But they're all having great fun making these artworks too. And this piece is made by Sid, who is a very expert epidemiologist as well, working with a lot of AI technology. What they're doing is they're splattering laryngoscopes with synthetic bodily fluids, which is actually it's defibrinated sheep blood and albumin from a bovine source and mixed with bacteria and applying that to things and then trying to sterilize them using these alternative methods. So this is a piece I made in the lab at Brighton and Sussex Medical School with them that's using the defibrinated blood and the albumin, and then I've embroidered it. In the next step, which is beyond the scope of the Voice project, I am going to go back and work with the bacteria mixed with it. I'm going to source some funding from elsewhere. The thing with this is it triggers me off, and I'm going to go and work on other things. I also worked with marble, which is this beautiful pure white surface, but I've used this is a painting of Streptococcus, which is one of the common bacteria that you get in the back of the throat. And I also used pearls, which they're kind of metaphor for how the body walls off disease, because it's like how a pearl wards off impure substances that enter. So I've used them here as a kind of decorative thing. And you can see the sort of sparkly texture there. That's actually the albumin. So it's using this materiality in here, and I use some gold leaf on it as well to talk about the cost. In Oxford, we had a massive wet felting session, and we did some drop needle felting and then some wet felting. And this is using the wool that's being recycled from the packaging there. So this is Oxford University, and these are some of the results of that. And a few of the participants, that's not all of them there, showing their results. And this is another piece that I've done, but what they wanted to do was make something like this from it. So we're working together to make the stuff that they have created. It will be a new piece as well, and that will all be beaded. And this piece is called Fragile Microbiome, and it contains bilirubin and biliverdin, which are bile pigments that are the things that make poop brown, interestingly, but also the reason bruises are the colours they are. So it's like the idea of bruising the gut microbiome. This is my hand with a petri dish of plague, Yersinia pestis bacteria at Porton Down, which is the highest security lab in the UK. It's mixed with Staph aureus there for the microbiologists in the talk. And so this is the project I've been doing with Leeds, is to actually reuse medically contaminated agar and come up with recipes for that. So we've been in the first workshop the second workshop that we did, we've made the bioplastic from leftover agar, because we had a problem with our autoclave, as you often do with these situations, but we're still working on that. And we had some good results. It was a full-up workshop. We did it at the Thackeray Museum of Medicine in Leeds. And this is us making the agar and making different biomaterials. And that's somebody cast a little necklace that they had, a little elephant. So that's made out of agar bioplastic. And that's actually with a mixture of I think it's McConkey agar we used for that one, which is actually, it was an out of date agar we melted down. And I've also made some other sculptures of seaweed, because the agar comes from seaweed, and these are made from the agar bioplastic as well. One of these got accepted for the ESCMID conference, which is one of the biggest microbiology conferences, so it was shown there recently and featured in their catalogue. And we also developed a collaboration with an SME called Happy Earth, who work with they make aprons for healthcare, and they use biodigesters to break down those aprons. So bacteria basically eats away at the aprons, and they blast it with plasma to kill all the infectious diseases that they shouldn't remain, but they do it anyway to be extra safe. And they sent me the compost that results from the biodigester, and I was able to use that with one of my previous recipes and make this cute little flower pot made out of biodigested hospital aprons. And so that's where I'm going to end with this positive image of my talk. And if you want to get in touch, that's my links. And thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, Anna. Very very interesting, very inspiring, and very special. And I think that shows up obviously what kind of impact artists and artistic approaches can have in some of kind of developments of understanding of engaging people more than maybe some theoretical scientific papers, maybe something like that. So it's nothing, it's one or the other, but it's more bringing something together. That brings me to the first question, maybe to the Q&A session. And we have some of them are in the chat and also answered by the speakers in the chat. So I wouldn't pick up this question anymore. So we have currently two questions more, but I will start to a question with to Anna. What was the most challenging part when you, as an artist, you need a lot of freedom, you need a lot of creativity, when you face engineers or developers or researchers or scientists the first time with your ideas, with your creative impact? So what was the first reaction from the opposite part of your development?
So on a sort of general way,
Yeah.
I'll answer that rather than specifically about this project. Because I guess one of the things, because sometimes I get brought into an organization and then there's an assumption that artists won't know stuff or will be quite naive about, for instance, biology or AI or something like that. So quite often I will give a talk or explain things that I've done that will kind of allay those concerns. And so and then we start to talk. I think, yeah, it's about demonstrating that we have an understanding together, a shared understanding. I mean, I worked with Schindler on a previous company, and they're the biggest engineering. Well, they're the second biggest engineering company in the world. Worked in their labs and stuff, so I'm working directly with engineers there. And sometimes it's just about breaking down their expectations as well, just freaking them out a bit. Because there was one time when I was actually lying down on the floor in the lab. It's a robotics lab, a kind of tech lab, not a microbiology lab. Lying down on the floor and letting a robot with LiDAR map me. But they rushed in. They're like, "What's happening? Are you all right?" And I was like, "I'm just keeping still because this robot is following me around and scanning me and scanning my body shape on the floor." We were trying to understand how robots see the world and things like that from like an embodied way. And I think once they get into it, they think it's fun and it's really interesting, and it helps different ideas to come because you are thinking outside the box and it's triggering different things. And I think one of the roles of artists in all this is to kind of bring back the idea of the happy accident, which used to be quite a big driver in how science was done. But now the way the funding structures work is that you tend to get like the project that you're doing that's funded, you already kind of know that worked. And then you get funding for them. So you kind of work backwards in getting funding. And so I think artists in the lab and in those situations brings that opportunity back.
Thanks a lot for another important insight, I think, because it breaks also barriers between the two different fields at the end, because that's also quite challenging for R&I stakeholders or for other participants or for other initiators of these kind of interactions. They are maybe afraid to contact you as an artist because they don't know what's happened there, and it's a very creative field, and they have no expectations or no experience in this field. And so it's very good to break barriers down, I think so. Let's go back to a question to Itziar. It's from the chat right now. Itziar, a lot of lovely projects came from Anna Bishop. Could you expand upon the evaluation aspect of the project? The participatory evaluation sounds fascinating.
Yes. I have answered also.
Okay, great.
Some of yes. Mainly since the beginning, what we made with the excuse me. Since the beginning, sorry for this. Since the
Doesn't
beginning,
matter.
what we made with the citizens before all the podcast and everything was to work with them on which type of terms they wanted to use for to measure their well-being, also to reduce the stress, the emotional expressions and everything. So, and we used those with them because we thought that it was very important to use terms that they felt comfortable with. So we made that, and then with all the mini seeds that we have implemented in this super Guernica seed, let's say, we have done different things like interviews, workshops, making like some questionnaires before and after the interventions, and even using some smartwatches, for example, for the dancing performances and so on.
Okay, thanks a lot so far. I think again regarding the time is we should hurry up a little bit. So we are running out for more or less 20 minutes right now, and start the interactive session. So before we prepare the landing in lovely Brussels, Belgium, at the end of the journey, we have an interactive session planned with you right now as the audience. So as you remember, we use a Mentimeter. I hope everybody of you copy the QR code or enter the code in the URL on the website. And we would start with the first question to you in the interaction session. And this is more or less to create something like a word cloud. And I will read the question for you, and then we have, I don't know, 1 minute to answer the question on your phone. What challenges in health and inclusion do you wish to overcome with art-science interaction? So the floor is yours as the audience right now, and feel free to answer the question, please. Zero responses? I don't know, maybe. Ah, no. Perfect. Takes a while. Six responses so far. Anything more? 7. Great. 15. Oh, it takes a while. Perfect. Okay. There was no time to react, but we go further to the next question. Maybe the speakers should be careful of their answers, then we can have a little conclusion or resume at the end of the interactive session. So what benefits would you hope to achieve from replicating interactions and valorization research results? Again, the floor is yours. Also, the speakers can join the quotation and make some bring some examples on the floor.
Very interesting answers.
Yeah. Do you think especially, Yassamin, do you have any comments for what you see so far?
What I found very interesting is foster trust in science. I find
Okay.
this, yeah. And if we make science accessible to the public, I think it will foster this trust. Yeah. So hopefully through our interactions, we can achieve that. And maybe through the replicability of this.
The horrible word, yeah.
Yeah, hard to pronounce, but okay.
Okay. 15 responses. I think we can go further with the next question. So what are the main obstacles that prevent artists, citizens, and science from participating in art and science co-creation? So that maybe related to also to the question to Anna after her presentation. So I think there are many of them, but it's very interesting to get your knowledge as an audience, or maybe your various experience with creating some co-creation activities. Maybe 2 times. Funding seems a big topic. Lack of existing synergies and facilitation between of these stakeholders. Okay. Very interesting comment, I think so. Lack of information about the art and science relationship. So it's a lot. When you start to cluster these comments, it's a lot of education, more or less, and also funding. So possibilities to start an initiative based on budget. Is it also your experience, what you made in your activities in different countries? I don't know, can answer
I can
Itziar.
speak
Yeah,
from
yeah,
my
Yassamin,
experience
please.
in Museums for All. Indeed, like when we gathered all the participants, they were very interested in what they do, like what everyone is doing. And indeed, there's a lack of funding. Indeed, there is a lack of knowledge of what each of these actors is doing. And also, as I wrote also, there are no facilitators or existing synergies. So you need a lot of everything, like in order to gather all these people to work together and to co-create. So yeah, but when we put them in the same room, they are like rich, very rich discussions. That's a spark. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, to staying too much in their field box. So it's also a lot of sharing knowledge what we need to do, I think so, in case of our approaches of the projects. Okay, I think we can go further to the next question. It's another word cloud. What words come to mind when you think of human-centered design as promoted in interaction seeds? Very special question, I think so. Also related, a lot of related to the activities of the GAIA cluster but a very interesting method. So, or a very important method in co-creating processes. Okay. Focus on people's needs. Listening. Okay. 17 responses. Very similar. Very interesting. Next interactive part, task, rank the following features of living labs based on their importances to the success of the Interaction Seeds initiative. Itziar, is this what you expected with this question? Or is it your own impression what you have so far?
Yes, mainly the one involving the end users, of course, in the creative process, but also, the facilitator, let's say, is one of the roles, no? The art science and society facilitator in which we are working, and also the addressing of the societal and environmental challenges, because the living labs were born because of that, because there is a problem. So it's a way of solving problems. So yes, interesting. Thank you.
Great. So we can go further to the next slide. Another ranking. Rank the following elements from most to least effective in promoting human-centered design during the SEEDS implementation. Okay. We can move to the next slide, or any comments from Itziar so far? Okay, which skills and knowledge are needed to accelerate the development of art, science, interactions, and health and inclusion? You can vote. Surprise, surprise, surprise.
I agree a lot with the open-mindedness and curiosity, because when we started the initiative, like, we had to find the scientists who want to be involved in our initiative, and we met some that were not very convinced. They didn't have an open mind about the concept.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think it's very important to be curious and open-minded about
Okay.
this.
So should we start the voting, or no, we go further to the next slide. How could local and European policymakers better support the concrete use of research results by society through art and culture? So it's related to the policy and influence in this kind of initiatives. In my opinion, it's a very important question, because we face a lot of regulations, what can be barriers in the initiative. So I think it's the policymakers play an important role in being successful in implementing interactions like this. Mm-hmm. It should more or less okay. I think we can move to the next slide. The last question: on what topic should we focus on for the next webinars? Energy, climate, digitalization, or anything else? So as we mentioned in the beginning of the webinar, we have 2 more webinars where we share our insights. So that was the first of a series of 3. And regarding the challenges, what we try to face in InteractionSeeds, and as well as in the voice project, we have a lot of opportunities to set a different focus. Okay. Okay, I lead the table with 3 votings, I think so. Lovely. Many impact from your side, many information, many feedback. Thanks a lot for your activity in the interactive session. It was fruitful for all of us, I think so. Also special thanks to the speakers to give feedback and react to the results. In case of we are running out of time for more than 10 minutes right now, I would close the webinar with one last sentence or one last comment of each speaker. Like my question to you in this case is, we start with the important task of replication of the idea, because that is what we want to reach. People who are motivated to replicate or to adapt the ideas in different ways. What kind of tip or idea could you share with the audience from your side? What is the main aspect where they can take care of and make it easier to replicate the initiatives? We start with Yassamin, because I saw her in front of me on the screen.
Actually, I have to think about this question. It's complex.
Okay.
The easiest part about replication is maybe just start at where you work or at your school, or I don't know, and try to raise awareness about inclusivity aspects, about the fact that there are people who have invisible handicap that we need to respect, we need to be empathetic about, and just not like continuing with this individualistic mentality and society that we're becoming, but also think about the other and try to help the other ones with the resources that you have. And of course, if you can get inspired by our seed if you have the resources to do it and if you know the right people. But of course, the simplest way is to do with what you have and just try to be more considerate of the other people and not to be judgmental, and think there is not only a physical handicap, there is also invisible handicaps that we need to focus on and we need to be considerate about. Thanks. Thanks, Patrick.
Thanks a lot for your participation and for sharing your knowledge. Itziar.
Yeah, in our case or in our experience, and it's very important to have a really the focus on the problem. It's and to think on it in a universal way, let's say. So thinking very open-minded and always listening to all the outcomes, no? Because finally you are going to reach to the solution. So for us, that's the most important thing.
Okay. Martina?
Yeah, I mean, since I'm leading also communication and dissemination, the outreach is definitely something that I have to do. And what we are trying to look now is all of the results that we have from the pilots and really try to think of different ways to disseminate, of course, which of course will be done with different webinars and co-creation stuff and so on. But what I learned from our artists is really that they have this special kind of bravery, I would say, and that also kind of inspires us to maybe do some different outreach opportunities, which I hope we will do as well. And I think from individual side, not just the project side and artist side and so on, I think the old saying where we kind of think globally and act locally really applies here. So for instance, all of these projects really inspired me as well to do more things in my hometown, within my street and so on. So there are different things that you can do on that side. But as our roles are here now, I think we have a really straight communication line also to the regulatory stakeholders, that we really need to give them the opportunity to get the feeling, get the emotions, get the experience that we had within these projects and helping projects and mentoring projects, to really see the outputs and everything, why is this beneficial. So a lot of work ahead of us, definitely, but I think it's a worthwhile thing to do.
Thanks a lot, Martina. Last but not least, Anna. So do you think it is your brave behavior what makes it easy to start an initiative?
I was thinking when Martina was saying that, is it just that we're weird? We think like this anyway. Yeah, I mean, I think talking and asking questions is like a really important thing. It's like I always pride myself on asking stupid questions, or, well, not stupid questions,
No.
but questions that some people might be scared to ask in a given situation. And you usually find that question you've asked is kind of the crux of the whole issue. And people go, well, it's exactly right. That's what we're working on. We don't know. And I think that's a case across art, science, technology, policy. All this stuff there are limits to what people know, and we want to go further and want to explore things, and that's how to create kind of solutions. And that's what yeah, I guess you're a bit working at the frontier, aren't you, of what is known. And sometimes, like art projects that you do is like there's going to be just, and it's the same with science, there's going to be just a handful of people that really understand it. But
Yeah.
if you can talk to people in a kind of accessible way so they can understand it as well. So like, would your auntie understand it if your auntie is not a microbiologist, for instance? Like something like that. You can just talk to anyone, or the waiter in your favorite restaurant. Can you explain your work to them, or to a child? Then that, I think that's really important, to be able to talk in an accessible way. Because also, like, if I was actually having this discussion about the symposium we did for the result of my voice project, because we had a lot of scientists presenting there. And so I was talking to my colleague who was going to chair it and saying, well, don't use kind of words like Anthropocene and stuff like that, because they won't necessarily, that's not in their normal kind of field of thinking as such. It's not a word that they'll be like, what's that? Whereas they'll know a lot of stuff about other things. But we have to use like accessible language as well, not to kind of show how clever we are by using big words, but use the smaller words so everyone can understand everything if it's explained properly. That's kind of my ethos for the whole world, is that anyone can understand anything if it's explained in a way that promotes their understanding.
I think that's a very important aspect, what you mentioned so far. It's like the communication and the language. We have to reduce our level of language to a common way to understand the topic. Like that's in many different sectors. It's the big problem what we have currently. Thank you very much for a lovely travel with you through Europe. So and also thanks for joining us in the audience. I hope you love the travel through the different creative initiatives of our projects, and it would be a great pleasure to have you on board also the next 2 webinars. So we announce the dates and the webinars as soon as possible. And so far, I wish you a lovely Easter weekend to all of you. And I will close the webinar for today. Thank you very much, Yassamin. Thank you very much, Martina, Itziar, Anna, and also Natalie for supporting in the background. And yeah, see you next time with the Voice and Interaction Seeds project. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.